Hey, what's up? This is Seth Green, and you are listening to Somewhere in Vegas with Mark, and I am so hot, I would desperately like a glass of water. Please, please, give me some water.
This is Cindy Preston, and I'm with Mark on Somewhere in Vegas.
Hi, this is Melissa Peterman from CMT's The Singing Bee and the television show Reba. And I have to tell you, I just have to get it off my chest, I love Somewhere in Vegas with Mark.
Hi there. This is Faith Roscoe from General Hospital. You're listening to Mark on Somewhere in Vegas. And you better watch out. We know how to find you if you're not listening.
Hi, this is Shannon Egan from Whippet, and I love Somewhere in Vegas with Mark.
Hey, this is Lee Allen Baker with Somewhere in Vegas, talking with Mark with a Q.
This is Courtney Cronin. You're listening to Somewhere in Vegas with your host, Mark, and I would make sure to listen every week because he's a sure bet.
Hey, this is the Money Man, Eddie Money. I got 2 tickets to Paradise, and it's, you know what? It's Somewhere in Vegas. And what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Hi, this is Crystal Kale, and I love Somewhere in Vegas with Mark.
Hi, this is Terry Nunn from Berlin, and you're listening to Mark Somewhere in Vegas.
Hi, this is Miracle Lori from Joss Whedon's Dollhouse. There are 3 flowers in a vase, and I'm listening to Somewhere in Vegas with Mark.
Hi, this is Erin Hill, and you are listening to Mark on Blog Talk Radio and Somewhere in Vegas. Mark is a great guy.
Hi, this is Sean Pulaski. I'm still trying to figure out Mark Pico's sexuality, but I know you're listening to Somewhere Live in Vegas.
Here you go, Mark. I'm sorry. I thought you were she. I'm sorry. Get out of the tent. Let's get out of here.
Hey, this is Lance and Anna from Free Radio. And Anna?
And you're listening to Somewhere in Vegas.
Yes.
My favorite.
You know, that's usually what happens with me. I go to Vegas and I get lost, and so I end up somewhere in Vegas.
Somewhere in Vegas.
But I just don't know where it is.
Not quite sure.
Yeah, word.
Get ready. It's going to be hot. It's in Vegas. Check out Mark. Be there or be square.
My guest at this time is a really good rocker right now. He's out of Florida, and his new single, Thin Disguise, is currently out right now. A former member of the hit band Ma Shot Pa. I'm here with Davy Williamson.
Yeah. Hey, how's everybody doing? Good to talk to you, Mark.
How's everything down? You're down there in Florida, right?
I'm actually not. I'm from Wilmington, North Carolina. Florida is where I was born. I was there for maybe a couple weeks, and then I've been in Wilmington, North Carolina. But I've traveled a whole lot in my life, so I've been all over the place, including Vegas. So.
Well, awesome. Have you performed out here?
I've performed once at a punk rock club somewhere north Las Vegas, I believe it was.
That's awesome. I mean, I know we have really good venues out here as well. Banff is one of the big venues out here as well. So hopefully when things open up, maybe you'll be able to come out here and perform over at Vamped. Yeah,
I'd love to. Absolutely love to.
Yeah. How is it being in the East Coast? Obviously the coastal areas right there is a kind of an interesting hotbed in terms of music. Tell me a little bit about, first of all, starting out in the area and performing in that portion of the United States.
Sure. I grew up being, in Wilmington, North Carolina, started off in little punk bands, metal bands, rock and roll bands. And luckily for me, I was surrounded by people who played music growing up, with my parents being big influences in that. My mother, just like an old time kind of Motown style stuff. And then my father playing in rock bands himself. Him being from Florida is where the Florida thing comes from. But I grew up around not only them, but my friends. We were mainly just a bunch of bored kids, which I think a lot of us are out this way when we're younger. And we picked up instruments, and that was our way of kind of killing time. And so as we would kill more and more time, and some of us would get better, and some would realize that that's probably not the avenue we should take. However, for myself and some of my friends that are still dredging along in the business, we've seemed to have done pretty well out here on the East Coast, because so many connected cities all the way up I-95. It's easy to tour this way whenever COVID's not around, of course.
Yeah. I mean, the punk and rock scene, I think there's a really tight-knit community in terms of that as well. I mean, obviously you said that, some people drop out, some people come back up again. I mean, how was it for you to kind of have that kind of scene there to help support you in the early days of your music career?
Well, Wilmington being a college town kind of lends itself to being a party town. And a lot of times it was underage party town. And so leading back to that, not having a whole lot of things to do except for go to the beach or party when you had, it kind of goes hand in hand with being in a rock and roll band, right? So there was a demand for it, and wherever there was a demand, there seemed to be kids out there that were able to fill that demand. Some of those kids being in bands alongside of me. And then as music changed or progresses over time, we would change our styles in music and try to find ourselves a new niche so that we could be the band that was playing at the house parties or playing at the venues, whether it be in North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee, all the surrounding states. And then we just kept moving along that way. And so it's been a good experience from growing up.
Now, you said that, when you guys decided to do a band, I mean, how, was there a certain instrument that you were interested in, or was it a situation where you had to fill in a certain part, or tell me a little bit about that? Good
question, Mark. Yeah. So it turns out that my parents had gotten my brother a drum set. I had a neighbor across the street, and my neighbor's name was Cutler Desjardins. Cutler's mom was very tolerant because they had a room above the garage that she allowed for my brother to be able to put his drum set in. And my friend Cutler had picked up a bass guitar. His mom owned a consignment shop. So a lot of times there was a lot of musical instruments people would bring in to try to sell. And he naturally ended up with a guitar in his room, and then he ended up with basses and bass amps and guitar amps and microphones. I ended up with a guitar because my father played, my stepfather played, my uncle played, and we just all kind of did the guitar starting out, or at least that's what I was surrounded by. So when we would go over to Cutler's house and my brother would play his drum set, we decided we were going to try to put together a band. Unfortunately, none of us were good. Instead, we started a clothing line called Chocolate Cow. I wouldn't call it a clothing line, but what we did was we had patches made from Cutler's father was friends with or worked with a guy that was, I think, his next door neighbor that worked at a company called Textiles, which made textiles. So they made patches and things of that sort. So they provided us a bunch of those that said Chocolate Cow on us. So then, of course, we ran off to the store and went and got toboggans or beanies and hoodies, and we would sew them onto stuff. And we would go to school and told people that we were selling band merch. And it turns out really, we named the band Chocolate Cow when we were really, really young. But it turns out that the fact was we couldn't play our instruments. So instead we sold clothes to try to make that work. And then when we couldn't figure out the instruments, so who was going to play what, we realized my brother wasn't a drummer. So I began the drums after I had started the guitar. And then my brother moved to the guitar. Cutler stayed on the bass. Cutler was singing. And that's what created initially Chocolate Cow. So.
I mean, that's absolutely amazing. I mean, how many instruments do you know how to play?
That's a good question. I'm progressively learning. I've played every instrument on the upcoming EP that's to be released and the single that's out now, Thin Disguise. I sang, played guitar, played lead guitar, sang the harmonies on the vocals, played the drums, played the bass, played all the percussion instruments, played the piano on it, as well as the orchestration in the background, the synth. So how many altogether, I don't know, but to make a joke of it, I mean, I have all kinds of different stuff here. I can't play it yet, but I'm learning.
Well, for those of you who cannot see, because this is mainly audio on my podcast, he just put an accordion in front of us, which was very, very interesting. Well, I'm wondering what kind of accordion that is. I remember I had asked Weird Al about the accordion. There are certain kinds of accordions. There's like the beginning one, there's the moderate one, and then there's the really difficult one. And the one that Weird Al uses is more the moderate one, not the expert one. He was telling me. So yeah, very interesting.
So Weird Al was telling you that?
Yeah, Weird Al was telling me that.
This was called Corona. It's called a Corona. I don't know enough about them yet. It is extremely difficult from where I stand with it. As far as if it's difficult to Weird Al, I have no idea. And it looks incredibly difficult to me. So God bless him for knowing how to do it.
Yeah, I think some people, I mean, even he admits it. Some people don't realize how difficult an accordion is to be able to play.
Incredibly difficult. And coming from me, who plays a whole bunch of instruments, I can promise you it's not easy. So.
Yeah, you have to do like 3 or 4 or 5 things at once, when you're doing it. So yeah. Well, good for you for at least trying.
Yeah, well, I'm making an effort. Maybe me and Weird Al connect, and then he could show me how to play. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that's something that we have to do after COVID. Maybe we'll hook you up with Weird Al, and he could teach you a couple things, I guess.
That would be amazing.
Now, well, speaking of it, one question I was thinking about when you were talking about producing this album, producing the single. Obviously, there's a certain order instruments have in terms of it. Usually, you put down the drum pack first, and then whatever comes after that comes after it. What was kind of the order you were kind of doing in the studio?
When I do it myself, the way that I go about it is I'll lay down a guitar scratch track, which is kind of the ideas, and I'll do it in phases. So I'll do like hey, this sounds like this could be a chorus line for a guitar part. This sounds like this could be a verse line. This sounds like this is a bridge, yada, 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 right? Well, then what I'll do is I'll get rid of all the nonsense kind of in between and kind of pick them apart. And then I'll place those pieces. Then I'll redo the scratch track. Then I put the drums to it. Now we have a scratch drum track. Now we have a scratch guitar track. And I basically lay those out until I feel like I have something there, something that I can work with. And Weird Al will get a kick out of this if he's listening, but I make up kind of just parody kind of lyrics, or like so that I can get a melody in place. Because once I have the melody, whether I'm just singing off the wall lyrics, I then turn those lyrics from parody style or joke style lyrics into more of a serious lyric, or something that means something more to me, or something that I'm trying to portray or push forward. But I go about it kind of in a way, musically, I do it sound and competent, and I have direction with the way I do it. Lyrically, I have no idea, because it's so incredibly hard to create a melody. To go over top of something that you just spit out naturally, musically. And for me, it would take me weeks to be able to come up with a melody that I would be happy with. And it's interesting that when I make up lyrics that are just like, not complete nonsense, and I'm kind of just making a joke of the whole song, when I go back and then place the words that I want to put on it, the melody, it's like it built itself by just me talking nonsense. So it acts in a way that I build the scratch track for the guitar, then I build the scratch track for the drums. I find something that works together. I make nonsense lyrics. Then all of a sudden I refine the whole thing so that then I have one basic acoustic guitar track to go off of that's based on the click. And then after that, I put the drums to the click. And then after that, we start putting the lyrics down and making sure we refine that. And then we build the song moving forward.
That's definitely a different way from what I've been hearing from a lot of different other artists that have been on the show, how they go about it as well. I mean, obviously, this is a situation where, there might be some stuff that you may think about, when you're out and about. I always ask the artists that are on the show about how they're usually out, or if they have an idea or whatever, they jot it down, and then they go back, and tweak with it on that as well. Right. Is that part of it too? Do you have like maybe a chord progression or a certain thing that just gets in your head that maybe let's just try this out in studio and go back for it?
I try not to overthink it. I try to just kind of spit it out, and then I tweak what's there to what fits the song best. So I'm playing to what the song is or the melody is.